It's January 29th, 2025. Last night outside my work, I've had people say stuff out below the window where I work. Well, last night you could hear someone. They didn't sound like they were right under the window this time. But you still hear them. I mean, even my client has complained about hearing people talk outside, but he sleeps way in the back. And you can still hear voices, but he can't make out what they're saying, thank God. Last night, some guys were outside, and they were talking, and one was an Officer John. If it wasn't you, somebody's impersonating you now. Said I'm the one that she thinks is Officer John. That's actually not my real name. Well, and more people would say, John's here to take care of Karen. And I look over and there'd be a young guy with black hair, glasses, yell out, "It's great having an informant that talks to us." "I know," the other guy would say. And he's like, "It's ridiculous for any child to be afraid of Karen. She's nothing but good and love." And would yell nice things. Okay? Well, where that guy said that agent told on her before he talked to her. He said it was afterwards. No, it was before. I was there. I know, I seen you. Matter of fact, I thought you were the agent that told on me. The way Paymer was lifting his arm, my God, I had an FBI agent. He's right there, and he's like pointing towards your way, and he's not looking though. And I walk off that way, and I see the white guy with black hair and glasses. Okay. That's when the women come up and say stuff, and then I go and sit down. They follow me and they say stuff about him telling people he knew was being raped and didn't care. Because the strangest baby lied. And that he was going to turn me back over to him if I was supposed to be mean to women. And I was never mean to anybody. Okay? But he was sitting down. And Dave told people when I walked off that agent, I walked up to him. Okay? But before that, I had thought for a long time Officer John was the agent that told on me. Because the way Paymer, he was flinging his arms, but he wasn't looking where he was flinging them. And that guy last night said she tells people I'm little but wiry. Okay. That is not an insult. That is actually a compliment. January 12th, 22, Walgreens, North Main. Two great big 6-foot plus guys, way over 200 pounds, 250, come in. Well, up walks Officer John. They're like, "What did those kids get caught stating?" He went, "They made everything up." And he's putting it, yeah. He got right in those big guys' face. That's why I say little but wiry. That's saying badass. They could have killed you. They were big. That's like no fear. That's badass stuff. That was a compliment. It wasn't an insult by all means. Okay? I seen you right before Christmas at Belden Village. I walk in, I was going to go to Zales, and right on the other side of the Santa thing in between Zales and Macy's, I seen you walking with another guy talking real loud. I've been assigned to her since the first of the case. It was the drug cartel in her home before, and the drug cartel doing this to her before. Okay? See, I still see you every once in a while. That wasn't you outside. Someone's impersonating you. But that guy said I was there. And the agent told on her before he talked to her after the hotline. I was there. Oh, there were several cops there. police officers in uniform, and then undercover police. And no offense, undercover police, unless you're in the drug and gang unit, you still look like cops. Why? Because you're clean cut, knit, tucked tight, clean people. What we used to call preppy. That's not a bad thing. But unless you're in the drug and gang unit and you look like you belong in a bar or a gang, you look like police officers because you're so clean cut, which is a good thing. But you do stick out. And how nice and neat and clean you look. Okay? That's a good thing. Alright. So that's where there's a lot of police seeing that agent tell on me after the hotline before he talked to me. Alright. They were talking about that girl in Speedway on Middle Branch Road the other day. She had a toboggan on. And she's like, why don't they just go ahead and give her her money? We all know Michelle did all this to get her dad arrested so she could take over the drug cartel. She had everybody show up here, say who they worked for, where they, what they were doing. So they could just go down and arrest her dad, and then she could take over the cartel. Why don't they just go ahead and give her money? We know her son, she needs to help her family. It's not like we need it. They're billionaires. Millionaires, actually. Human trafficking, on an estimate, is $32 billion a year. These are multi-mega millionaires doing this. And see, that's where, you know, that young blonde girl that showed up at Faith Family Church, even people today said, you know, her ex-husband would have never been allowed around her. She was basically what you would consider a mafia lord's kid. She was a drug cartel's daughter, one that had drug cartels. Nobody gets near her unless you're equivalent to them. See, that's where that lie that I threatened her. You threaten somebody like that, they would have killed you on the spot. The men that work for her father. They're human traffickers that sell and kill people. Okay? Alright. Now I want you to think about this. She walks in, and it's January, February 19, where they said Auntie Shell. I thought it was Michelle Cowgill, this one girl at his church, 50-year-old woman, heavyset, mean to her first husband. Okay? And I thought, if he's, you know, it's serve him right getting something like that. Well, this teenagers came into church out. This one girl yells out, I'm the one that dates Dave. I look back. And I thought it was Michelle Cowgill. I look back, you don't look 18. Look back, you don't look 100 pounds. My God, you look homeless. And like a teenage prostitute. I don't believe you. And then she's like, I can have anybody drug, beat, raped. I just have to ask those guys. She controlled the cartel. And they kissed her butt like she was pure gold. Okay? And even the cops guessed her at 14 to 16 and wanted to know if they were like setting up my husband to go to jail for dating a underage prostitute. I thought that. And I just figured it was another drug cartel scam, so I ignored it and everything she'd say. She did say at first she was Agent Will's daughter, then she started giggling. She said, I'm actually Judge Peter's daughter. Okay? And those guys at Faith Family Church bragged that they could control anybody with their mind-controlling drugs for 4 to 6 hours. Okay? at church, they told people they were FBI working my case, and then outside that they were drug traders that were from Florida, and they worked for Judge Peter. In the mall, they were drug traders that were human trafficking people to Florida, to a resort area, and they worked for Judge Peter. In Louisville, they were drug traders from Florida, worked for Judge Peter. And she told everybody she was Judge Peter's daughter. Okay? Judge Peters in Florida was arrested for human trafficking in 2022. That's why she had everybody tell about him. They just had to go down and pick him up. Now she runs the Florida drug cartel. Somebody who is over a cartel is like main mafia kind of stuff. You wouldn't threaten any of them, they kill you instantly. So the thought, her even saying that I would threaten her, I have never even laid my eyes on her, nor did I respond. Those guys out last night said, well, she was supposed to act stupid when she seen Dave's girlfriend. What did she say? Well, she only said, who is that? And who are those people? Because she's throwing her body in the back of the booth. And Dave said he didn't know, and then told what he saw his family about her. That some crazy blonde girl threw her body in the back of Mom's booth. He didn't say a word. See, that's where March 18, we're in, our house is up for sale. I've already been almost kidnapped, followed and arrested, and the attempt to break in had already happened. We have our house up for sale, and we had errands to run that day. He wanted to go to a restaurant we normally don't go. And we go in, and there's one couple by the window, and then there's a 70-year-old couple, a white guy with a white baseball hat, black glasses, with an older white lady with white hair. This young blonde girl, maybe about 18, walks by. She literally looks at me like this. Like that, like a mean child. Sits down, boom! Does he think it's funny bringing her in? I went, Dave, who is that? And he's like, I don't know. Bam! In the back of my booth. I went, Dave, who is that? He's like, I don't know. Well, that older guy said something about Dave. I said, Dave, they seem to know you. Bam! In the back of the booth. She's literally rocking both sides of the booth stuff. She's knocking me into the table. And I'm like, Dave, who are those people? He's like, I don't know. And I said, can I sit over there with you? He's like, yes. And I even asked him, do you want to go? He's like, no, are you okay from that girl? And he put both arms around me. And he was holding me. Are you sure you're okay from her throwing her body like that and knocking you forward? I said, yes. Do you know he held me for a long time in the restaurant, and he like scowled at them. I said, who are they? He's like, I don't know. We got home, he told Danny some crazy blonde girl was throwing her body in the back of Mom's booth until he's knocking her forward, and she had to sit on my side with me. Now, you got to think, where people are acting like that is Michelle. Those guys, well, we heard she's so beautiful. That's a lie. That is a flat out lie. See, and no offense to Michelle, the human trafficker, you guys are both pretty. And it's like Savannah. You all are pretty blonde girls. But you're not, and it's not an insult, because not many people are supermodels. I mean, where it's like, oh my God, you're gorgeous, you know? There's not that many people that rate movie star or supermodel. When you're just pretty and you're young, but you're not extravagant. None of these girls were. They were still pretty and they were young and blonde, but they were not, oh my God, look how beautiful. No. This girl was maybe 100 pounds, had khaki pants on like cargo, in a t-shirt, and little to no makeup on, if any at all, and her hair stringing down her back, and didn't do anything with it. Huh? That's not that gorgeous. See what I mean? And then see, and even the Michelle that was Judge Peter's daughter, she had blonde hair. And the reason why she looked so bad, she was saying how she spent the night with the drug cartel and she had the guy's clothes on. But she was about the same. Young, blonde, pretty, but not extravagantly pretty. See, these people are just lying. And that guy outside, I heard she acted weird when she seen her. So did Dave. Because it was, oh my God, this horrible, crazy person is throwing her body around in a restaurant and almost knocking a chair over. She'd be the type of girl, you know what? Dave didn't date her very long if he did. Because she's the type that, with his temper and that kind of temper, it would be an all out, she'd be throwing furniture at him. She almost knocked the booth seat over. She was knocking me into a table. And I didn't even say a word to her. And Dave was sitting there wrapping his arms around me, scowling at them like this. Yeah. And he's holding me. Are you sure you're okay? Now, you think of somebody that mentally unstable to come in and scowl at somebody they've never met. They're supposed to be cheating with that woman's husband. They don't even know who they are. And to scowl at them and throw their body in the back of a booth like a bad 8-year-old having a temper tantrum, and Dave's denying knowing any of them. Okay? So who acted bad there? She did. You know, my one boss, I worked at this one bank. He was a cutie. For a middle-aged guy, he was very handsome. He cheated on his wife. A lot. A lot. He was up in his 40s, and his one girlfriend was about, 19. Dated her for over a year. Huh? Worked at this one pretzel place, and she come over and talked to him. Been dating, cheating. One time at the bank, they're standing there talking. She looks up, here comes his wife. Okay? Here comes his wife. She goes ahead and walks off, and doesn't even acknowledge her. He's like stuttering. He was like minutes from getting caught. And then she didn't come back for a long time. He cheated with her for years. And then he cheated on his girlfriend with other girls that would come in the bank. He was like a little bit of a male whore. Felt bad for his wife, but she didn't know. Looked him up on Facebook. They're going on their 30th anniversary. She never caught him. You know, that's like the U.S. Marshals kid that I met at the storage unit. I said, I see you're moving out. I said, I can't find my unit. Will you help me? And she's like, oh, well, she's very sweet. She said, yeah, I'll help you. And she said, I had a boyfriend of 8 years. He came home one night while asleep, punched me in the face and broke my nose. I called the police, he got arrested. He got away with a fine. My dad's a U.S. Marshal and I'm military. And since then, I found out he was cheating on me for 2 years and I didn't know it. He had left a strip club and he came home and punched me in my sleep. And she said, since then, I've went to Jersey's. I ordered a drink. I took a drink in the room, went dizzy and black. And I don't know what happened to me that night. She said, I waited a while, went to another bar. It happened again. I ended up in the hospital. I don't know how I got out of that bar. I said, well, you're sleepwalking with us. I know. And I said, those strip clubs are connected to the drug cartel. She's like, I know they are. And I'm moving out of this area for safety. I can't even go get a drink anywhere. So unless you actually catch them, you won't know who anybody is. So who acted bad? Now, she was actually dating Dave. And she was. They didn't last long because she's crazy and she'd pick up a piece of furniture and throw it at him. Because she almost knocked the booth over just sitting behind me. And he was scowling at them because she actually knocked me into the table at one point. And I didn't even respond to her. So who acted bad? She did. And she's not that beautiful. She was just 1,800 pounds, khaki cargo pants on, and a thin t-shirt, and no makeup, and her hair strand down her back. So what was so gorgeous about that? Seriously. Even Savannah, she had real long blonde hair. She was pretty, but she wasn't model pretty. And the Michelle that was Judge Peter's daughter, she looked 14 to 16, and she was pretty, but she wasn't supermodel either. And I'll tell you what, you threaten somebody in the drug cartel's family, they'd kill you on the spot. So that was a lie too. And like people said today, her husband would have never been allowed around her. Oh no, she had all those guys guarding her all the time. And they all worked for her. That or they worked for Judge Peter. And she told everybody she was his daughter. And they guarded her. My ex would have never been allowed around her. That's like saying you're allowed around a drug lord. You wouldn't be allowed around them. And if you dare threaten one of them, they'd kill you on the spot. See, like they said, that girl said, we all know Michelle used all this and did all this and had everybody tell who they worked for and where they were from and what they were doing. So they'd go down and arrest her dad so she could take over the drug cartel. Why don't they just give her money? She was just using her so that she could take the cartel from her dad and she could run it. Where they said they were using me as a pawn. I never spoke to, oh God, any of those people. That's where it's absurd. And that girl just using me as a pawn. Now where people even said today, where I've been saying in the car, how does Agent John justify any of this? How does he justify any of this? Lying to the police that was his daughter. She debunked that 19. She went to say she was Agent Will's daughter. Then she started laughing. She said, I'm actually Judge Peter's daughter. And she could order the cartel. She debunked that 19. Why did he lie to the police? You know, they talked about a guy in Maslin when they were talking about him. They said, why is he involving himself in crimes? Why is he helping people get away with crimes in this area? They can't do any of this. Why is he involving himself in crimes? Like people said, they were probably talking about the agent over my case. I'd like to know, how do you live with yourself, Agent John? A victim calls for help and you run up and tell the perpetrators that are trying to have him murdered that you don't care. You're going to let them kill him. You're going to turn him back over to them. You know they hired the cartel and they're having me drug being raped and you didn't care. You didn't care about human trafficking victims. You didn't care about rape victims. That makes you a criminal, not a cop. That makes you a criminal. That makes you a criminal. How do you look in the mirror knowing you fed a rape victim, a human trafficking victim, made fun of him on a recorded line, told the perpetrators that hired him to try to kill him, and now they're running some big drug scam of photoshopping and washing and drug confessions, that you're going to turn him back over and you even know they're having him harmed and you don't care? That doesn't make you a cop. That makes you a criminal. And then telling on victims, calling for help, making fun of them on a recorded line, how you told on them and you don't care what happens, makes the victim beg for their life, bullies them. That doesn't make you a cop. That makes you a criminal. How do you live with yourself knowing you took a drugged up rape victim and fed it back to the drug cartel? Let me get tortured, my skull bashed in, let me get human trafficked? How can you justify that? See, I look at everything and I wonder, where's justice? Where's justice in any of this? We have laws that rule over this land, that no one can do any of this. No one. And not go, no, you do it, you go to jail. And victims don't get mistreated. They get taken care of and protected. Like Sheriff David, Mike DeWine's cousin, you should have been put in a safe house the first day, and the police in your area should have arrested that agent for telling on you and then bullying you. And then he took your money, and he's so arrogant with you He's probably still been stealing a long time. Now he's doing it in front of the police and daring them to do something about it. Hmm? You help the human traffickers get away with murder here. Selling people. It was on Google. Over 6,000 people got human trafficked. Do you know they sell people from 4,000 to 50,000 each? It's a $32 billion a year. These people are multi-millionaires. Michelle, all them. She owns a cartel. She sells people for sex slaves and to be murdered. And where you people think it's funny, where these people have even admitted they dismember people. In New Mexico, they found a mass grave of 73 bodies dismembered, some with their heads chopped off, some with their arms or the legs where they were tortured and they were cut off, and some with the torsos missing. Is that where they sold those people's organs? Because the torsos were missing. They find all kinds of mass graves of the people they take, they use, and then they kill. And when you stop finding it funny that drug dealers are killing U.S. citizens, start turning them in. And maybe some of the people they took, you'll find them. If they're still alive. And maybe they'll find some of the bodies of the ones that are already gone. And so their families can bury them properly. Start acting human again, people. I'm not